I think it's important. Why are we talking about change? The world itself right now has been forced into change. When we came into 2020, nobody knew that this was going to happen at this time and to the magnitude that it is happening. Presidents, preachers, business people, from the top to the bottom, nobody knew that things would happen the way they're happening now. The lockdown, the magnitude of the lockdown. This is the first lockdown of the world since forever. According to history, the coronavirus, COVID-19 effects has changed so many things. As we speak right now, changes are going to occur in the health delivery systems world over. Changes are going to occur in the educational systems, how education is going to be done. Some universities are going to go out of business. Some have to change the traditional brick and mortar models that they were using. The financial systems are totally changing. The business world is totally changing. Look at the print media. Where are they now? Those who were printing newspapers. The IT itself, everything is changing. Entertainment systems, or where and how people used to get entertained. People that were doing conferencing. Religious sectors, look at churches, they are empty. Right now, look at the customs. We used to greet each other. Now we no longer greet each other. It has caused changes in everything. Governmental systems are also going to change. So it is important for you to understand that when change is happening, it happens at different levels. And that level can be at a global level, can be at a national level, can be at a local level, can be at an organizational level, can be at a family unit level, or can be at an individual level. And what you need to understand that you as an individual, you are living in all these hierarchies of organizations. And in each one of them, changes are occurring. Different changes, local changes, global changes, organizational changes, family changes, personal changes. All these changes are occurring at different rates and at different, and you're going to see as I continue with my discourse that all these changes are happening to one person. Hence, there is pressure during change. And a lot of people will enter into new beginnings, new phases of their lives, big changes. What if somebody dies? What if somebody loses their job, their income, their salary, or their salary is cut? What if that's a lot of pressure to anybody? And my hope for this discussion this afternoon is to help somebody who's watching on how to handle pressure well and how to handle it better. But one thing is for sure, let me say this, change is here. Change is here. And so let's define what change is. Let's define what change is. The word change, if you go into the dictionary, the Webster's dictionary, it will tell you that to change is to make or to become different. It means that the things that we knew or how they were, they are totally becoming different. The other words that are used to mean the same thing or synonyms of change is to transform. So there's a transformation which is occurring. Another word that we use very often, especially in science, is metamorphosize, like metamorphosis, how a butterfly comes from a caterpillar. That total change where the previous, the new appearance is totally different from the previous. It is to adapt, it is to modify, it is to reconstruct, it is to refashion, it is a makeover. And all of us, we've seen those makeover shows. This is what change is all about. And change is here. Change is already here. The question is, how are you going to handle it? And so there is pressure for change. So what is pressure? What is pressure? In science, pressure is measured, is defined as a measurement of force per unit area. So when I apply this force on this hand, this is pressure, scientific pressure. In marketing, pressure is the use of persuasion or intimidation to make someone do something or do something. This is what we see with gangsters, with hitting somebody. You are using persuasion. In finances, you've got what we call financial pressure. This arises from any situation where money worries are the cause of stress. That's financial pressure. When it doesn't matter whether you've got little money or you've got much money, but if you're worrying about money for whatever reason and it's causing you stress, that's financial pressure. In the world of sociology, it is defined as the influence that is exerted on one person or a group by another person or by a group. But in psychology, pressure is defined as the mental stress associated with expectations to perform well in a situation. So you're under pressure when you're expected to still do well, expected to still make the decision, expected to live well in your life, to think straight, while all these things, all these changes are happening around you. That is what is pressure. So the question is, can you handle pressure? For you to understand what we are talking about, it is then important for you to understand change. Yes, we have defined change, but do you have an understanding of change? For example, let's start not with change. Let's start with understanding pressure. You need to understand pressure. Pressure can be real or it can be perceived. But here's the thing, perception of a person is their reality. I might actually not have pressure at all, but if I perceive it, I will actually be in pressure as if somebody who actually is in real trouble. Your mind cannot differentiate real and perceived. And whatever is in your mind is your reality. So pressure can be real, pressure can be perceived. But whatever the case might be, it's pressure. Number 2, on understanding pressure. Pressure can be internal or it can be external. It means that pressure can emanate from your own thinking, your own way of processing issues, on your own way of seeing views or viewpoints. Or pressure can come from outside towards you. How people will see you, what you hear people say to you, that's external pressure. And here's the thing about pressure. Everybody needs some pressure in order to perform. Some level of pressure is always needed in life. I'm sure those who have been to school or who are studying right now, it's difficult to study because you don't have an exam date. But if I give you and say your exam is on this day, immediately that pressure causes you to study. And so everybody needs pressure in life for you to perform well. But if that pressure becomes too much, it actually worsens your performance. It worsens your thinking, it causes you to freeze, it causes you to choke, it causes harmful in your performance, it causes you to go into anxiety and depression. And that's the kind of pressure that we were trying to deal with today and say, how can you handle that? So that when you are under pressure, you are still able to make the right decision, able to make the correct and focus on the right things. So we have said you need to understand pressure. The other thing that you need to understand, you need to understand change itself. So here's the thing about change. Change is not an event. Change does not happen in one day. Change is a process. It's a process. It's a process. It's continuously, it's a process. So we need to know that change is a process. It's not an event. So nobody can come to you and say, Doc, I have changed. Right now I've changed. No, it's a process. There's a process of change. And that's what I want to be discussing today. There's a process of change. And resistance to change is very common and predictable. Whenever anybody, including myself, when I'm faced with something that is forcing me to change the way I do, the way I go to work, what I drive, I resist it. It's resisting change is normal. But one thing that you must understand, that change happens. It does not wait for you. It does not wait for anybody. And we must quickly get over that stage of resisting change. And as when we resist change, during that resistance, we then suffer from poor performance. We suffer from stress. We suffer from perceived pressure. It might actually not be there, because if we were not resisting the change, we would actually flow with the change. So the resistance to change itself even causes more pressure. Change is an emotional process. It's an emotional process. It's not a physical process. It's an emotional, it's a mental process. And it depends on how a person perceives and analyzes their situation. And here's the thing about change. Change cannot be stopped. And this is what I want to say to all of you. A lot of people right now are praying and say, we want to pray that we'll go back to how things were when I pray and hope and trust and declare and wish that things will be as if COVID had never happened. That's a fallacy. That's wishful thinking. Change is here. You cannot stop it. You have to flow with the change. You have to flow with the change. You cannot stop change. Change, if you want to stop it, change will destroy you. So change, you need to understand that it's a process that involves organizational transitions and personal transition, and there's going to be an interplay of all those things at the same time happening at the same time. Therefore, building your mental capacity to handle change is not only strategic but also imperative if you are going to remain sane in this moment. It's very important, and a lot of people have not built their capacity to handle change, and therefore they will suffer the consequences of ill mental health and actually poor processes of handling that. So, when you are talking about change, I want to talk about 2 cycles. How many? 2. I'm going to talk about 2 cycles which will be happening at the same time. The first cycle that will be happening to you or in your mind is what I call the grief cycle. The grief, Grief cycle, the grief cycle. Now, a lot of people think that grief only happens when you lose a relative or when one of your friends dies. But grief happens to a person, happens to you mentally when you lose something that you are used to. Now, this loss can be a job loss, can be a loss of a relationship, can be a loss of a business, a loss of an endeavor, loss of health. A person who becomes paralyzed today goes through grief. They have lost their ability to walk around and to do things that they want, and they go through grief. So grief is a process that happens in the person's mind or mental framework when you lose something. So one thing that change does is that change causes you to lose your status quo. It causes change in how things were. So you lose how things were happening. You lose processes. You lose jobs. You lose everything. You can literally lose everything during change. So when change starts to happen, immediately you go into a grief cycle. So the grief cycle, everybody goes through a grief cycle. It doesn't matter whether you're white, black, blue, yellow, Indian, short, wide, tall, you go through a grief cycle. And that grief cycle is influenced by the things that makes up that person. It is influenced by your culture. It is influenced by your customs. It is influenced by your belief systems. It is influenced by your social expectations. It is also influenced by how you have handled previous pressures in the past. So everybody, this is very key, that everybody grieves in their own way. And people go through the grief processes or the grief stages, which I'm going to talk about at different rates. So you can be one family. One can be at stage 1, the other one can be at stage 3. You're dealing with the same thing, same effect, same country, but the way we process through that grief is different, and we need to handle that, because if we don't handle that, we'll actually increase the pressure and the friction, because you'll be saying, why is my spouse not moving? Why is my partner not moving? Why is my boss not moving? Because you are handling grief, you are at different stages. So you need, as I go through those stages, recognize which stage you are at. Recognize the other stage which others are at. And there are things that are key that I'll sort of like tell you to understand. So, for you to heal and for you to handle pressure, you need to go through the process. And it is important to understand the stages so you understand the feelings, how you are feeling, and how others are feeling, so that you can then manage that in your organization or in your family. So generally, the grief is divided into 5 stages of grief. The first stage of grief is denial. Denial is when people pretend as if the issue has not happened. If it is somebody who has died, you say, no, it can't be. It can't be. Until I see their dead body, it can't be. You are in denial. Or your business has gone down and you say, no, I'm still in business, but you know very well that your business has gone down. Or you have been fired from your job and say, why are they firing me? I'm the best place, they will call me. You are in denial. So denial will be associated with avoidance, will be associated with confusion, it will be associated with fear, it will be associated with shock, it will be associated with delusion and caring and say, I don't care about it, as if you do not care about what is happening. When you are exhibiting those emotional states, you will know that in the grief stage, the grief cycle, you are at the stage of denial. After denial, you then go to anger. Anger is when you are irritable about the issue. You are frustrated about the issue. Yeah, this is an area where you see a lot of anxiety. People are frustrated, like right now with this lockdown which has happened. A lot of people are now anxious, are now irritable. They want it to be over. They want to go back to their work. Some of them, they even know that there's no work. But you are now angry and you are asking. That's why people are asking, is the world ending? Is God angry? Is this punishment from God? Is this the 666? And all conspiracy will come at this anger period. So we know by how you are, what you are saying, how you are acting, at which stage. So the first one is denial. The second one is anger. The third one, when you don't process or after anger, you then go into depression. This is where you just say, you know what? You lose hope. I've talked about, if those who have not watched our depression, understanding depression, please watch it. I did something on understanding depression last week. It will help you to understand. So depression is when you start to feel sad. You are hopeless. You feel guilty. You feel worthless. You feel useless. You've got a negative view towards self, towards the future, and towards the environment or towards the world. And so this is very dangerous, because a lot of people here can actually then kill themselves, can actually deteriorate, and actually will need treatment. After you go through the stage of depression, you start to go to a stage which we call bargaining. How does a person at bargaining, for example, if somebody has died, they will start to say, if only they are not dead, if only it's not true, or if they would rise from the dead, then I'll do this, or somebody will go and say, if all this would finish, I'll know exactly what to do, and they'll go into prayer. So you're going to see an increase of religiosity. Places and start to bargain and say, Lord, if you can just save me from this, keep me at my job, I'll do this for you, I'll do this for you. It's bargaining. It's a stage of bargaining. And when you go through that, the last stage of grief is acceptance. Acceptance is when you have said, okay, all right, okay, this has happened, this is where we are, this is where it is. He's no longer here, I've lost my job, this COVID has caused this industry to shut. My salary is cut. This is where we are. And you are now at a place where you accept the reality of change. Remember what I said, that you cannot stop change. I cannot stop change, but I have to manage the change. So when I started to see that change was coming, all of us will go through this grief until you accept that change is here. And then when you have now accepted that change is here, it helps you then to make the decisions that are proper for you going forward. So you then take the future head on. But until you reach the level and the stage of acceptance, you'll still be in between the denial and the anger. And some people can jump from bargaining, go back to anger, come back to depression, come back to denial, and as they process the change. But the faster you go through these stages, the better. We want you to quickly come to the edge of acceptance of reality, acceptance of the status quo, acceptance of the situation, so that you can make a decision and say, listen, the qualifications that I had in the new beginnings, in the new world, they are not useful. The business that I was running, there's no way I can run it in the same way I was running it. It's no longer viable in this new season. And it's a level of acceptance, and then you're able to move on and say, so what am I supposed to do? So while that is happening, there will be another cycle which will be happening at the same time. I call it the change, the change cycle. So while change is happening, it's a process, you are having this grief cycle happening. At the same time as you're going through the grief cycle, you're also going through the change cycle. They are all intertwined within your brain. I'm just helping you to understand how. And the change cycle is also in 5 stages, just like the grief stage. It's and the first stage of change, it is called pre-contemplation. Pre-contemplation. The second one is called contemplation. The third one is called preparation. The fourth one is called action stage. And the fifth one is called maintenance. There are quite a number of models, but I'm just giving you a simplified version. So, when you go through the change cycle or the stages of change, when you are at pre-contemplation, you are similar to the person who is at denial. You are saying, that can't happen to me. You're not even thinking of changing. Most of you right now, you don't even know how, when you go back to work, whether your workplace will still be there, whether you'll be functioning the way you were functioning. And you are just hoping, you know what, you will go back to normal. And I'm here to say that get ready for change. Get ready for change. So you say, not me, it is not happening to me, it will happen to the next door, it will happen to the other, it will happen to the other company, it will happen to the other church, it won't happen to us pastors, it won't happen to you. It's happening to you. When you think that this thing is not hitting you, you are still at pre-contemplation, you're not even thinking about it. Then the second stage is called contemplation. Contemplation, you're not saying, hey, you're sort of like saying, hey, you know what? This thing, I think, is hitting me. I think this thing is affecting me. I think these job losses are hitting me. I think this lockdown is affecting me. I think I'm getting, it's, I'm really getting bogged up by this thing. At first there were so many people who were enjoying to be on lockdown. Oh, I say, yes, now it's a free holiday. Are you still saying it's a free holiday? Things have changed because you're going through change. So the second stage, contemplation, you start to say, maybe I need to do something. Maybe I need to do something. Maybe I need to do something. The third stage is called preparation. Preparation is somebody who, they have not changed yet, but they are now saying to themselves, you know what? I need to prepare for my future. I need to prepare for my future. These are people on the grief stage, are almost at acceptance or bargaining. You understand what I'm saying? And it coincides with stage 3, the preparation. So you're now starting to pray, saying, okay, fine, this is what has happened. This is what has happened. I've lost my company. I've lost my income. I've lost this. This is no longer going to happen before. And so what must I do? So you're now starting to prepare. So you start to say, on Monday, I'm going to do this. I have to sell this, or I have to look for another job, I have to go for training. So you're now starting, you're preparing. You have not started to do anything, but you're preparing your mind for change. That is called preparation. And at this time, this is so key given the time that we have in the lockdown. I would want a lot of us to be at this so that we start to prepare. Prepare and say, how am I going to pay school fees? How am I going to go? Am I still able to afford this house, this rent? Do I need the 4 cars? You are in preparation. What am I supposed to do? And all those kind of things. What should I do with my debt level? Can I go and speak to my banker? What can I sell? You are preparing. You are putting up a strategy and you are writing it down and say, what can I do as you prepare? So you are now saying it's okay. But now, what should I do? This is the time where you need to be calling your wise board members. I always say that everybody needs a board of directors in their life. The board of directors are not just for companies, but every individual needs a board of directors for their own life. These are your people that you don't pay, but they are thinkers, they are think tanks. So what you do is, at this time in preparation, these are the people that you are calling, and you are bouncing off ideas. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? How should I act? What should I do? And da. So if it's a lawyer, they'll tell you from the law side. If it's a doctor, they'll tell you from the medical side. If it's a politician, they'll tell you from the political side. And economists, so you need these people, and you need to be gathering thoughts as you prepare from these people that I call your board members of your life. This is the time to do it. Then the fourth stage of change is action. You have done your preparation. You now need to go into action. This is where somebody is now. This is after the stage of acceptance. So this is now outside the stage of acceptance on the grief cycle. You are now taking action. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I must do. This is what we must do as a nation. This is what we must do as a local authority. This is what we must do as an organization. This is what we are doing as a family. This is what I'm doing as an individual. You are now taking action so that you move with the change. You move with the flow. If you don't do that, the pressure will crush you. Then when you are doing the actions that are necessary for you to survive with the pressure or the change that is happening, you then enter the fifth stage, which is called the maintenance stage, which means you are maintaining your status quo. That's how you survive in pressure. Am I talking to somebody here? So while all those things, while the grief cycle is going, and the change cycle is also going, there's an intermix in between, and it sort of like loops on its own. You are going to experience symptoms that we've already described in other presentations. Your anxiety symptoms, your depressive symptoms. This is where you are going to experience physical, cognitive, emotional, and behavioral reactions to your grief or to your loss and to your resistance to change. You're going to get fatigued, inability to concentrate, feeling overwhelmed, feeling depressed, anxious, feeling withdrawn from others, not wanting to talk to others, irritable, loss of appetite, nightmares, whatever the case might be. This is normal. It will happen. But if it starts to affect you, please, you know that you can get help. So, what can you do to handle this? What can you do to handle this? The general rules of handling pressure is you need to maintain your health. You need to maintain your health. You don't want, when you're going through pressure, you then go through another health crisis or health pressure. So, maintaining your health is key. Look at what you are eating. Maintain a balanced diet. Eat fruits and things like that. Get regular exercises. Exercises actually release a natural neurotransmitter in your brain called dopamine and endorphins. If you just walk for 20, 30 minutes, it actually releases normal. You feel good. It brings your anxiety down. It brings your depression down. So exercises are very key at this time. Walk 3 times a week or run, whatever you can do, but do some exercise. Get plenty of rest. Sleep. Because sleeping will cause your brain to calm down and to think. So try to get some sleep. Don't overwatch a series. Don't overwatch TV and you don't sleep at all. Get some time to sleep. Reach out to your true friends. This is the time where you see true friends. These are the friends that when you talk about your fears and what is happening, your pay cut, they're not going to publish it in your on social media. They're gonna be with you. These are the time where you reach out to those people. The other thing that is on the general part is you need to avoid the use of alcohol and drugs. A lot of people use alcohol and drugs as a way of coping with pressure. But it's a negative coping mechanism in itself, and it will bring you more problems, and in the future it will bring you more pressure than you bargained for. More specific things, what can you do? The first thing that you need to do when you're handling pressure, I want you to maintain an active schedule. Don't go and sleep. Don't go and sit down. Maintain an active schedule, even if you're at home. Maintain activity. Do some work. Read. Run, talk, plan, do something. Maintain an activity, a schedule of activity. Don't sink into laziness. Don't sink because momentum is difficult to get. Maintain your momentum even where you are, so that when the shutdown comes, you are then able to continue with that momentum. And that's what I'm doing. I am not sitting down. I'm continuing. I'm planning. I'm reading. I'm sharing. I'm getting ideas, and I'm synthesizing all that together. I'm not losing my momentum. I'm not losing my power, because that's what you need if you are going to change effectively. Set some time where you sit alone. Set some time where you just, your me time, where you every day have 30 minutes to an hour or even 2, where you just sit. Look at the sun going down. Look at the sun coming up. Just sit. Don't talk. Just soft music if you can. You can have these guguchas and have some music that will calm you down, or even just some silence. Just listen to nature. If you're in the rural areas, just watch the mountains. Just watch the beasts, they just move and just relax. Learn some relaxation techniques. And I want to say that if you want to learn how to relax, if you are in Zimbabwe or anywhere, you can actually go to a Facebook page that we started as health practitioners in Zimbabwe called Sound Mind Zim. Sound Mind Zim. And we've got a psychologist there, one of my friends called Tarisai Bere, and she actually did a video on how you can relax. And you can actually learn and do it in your own house, how to relax. And we were talking today, she's actually going to add more techniques on relaxation, which you're going to need, breathing exercises and all those kind of things. One of the things that you need to do is to learn how to solve problems. Because when change is happening, you need how to solve problems. And a lot of people, they've got no technique whatsoever on how to solve problems. So there are multiple problem solving techniques. But I'm going to teach you one because of our time, called brainstorming. A brainstorming is a technique to solve problems. It can solve any problems: political, financial, family, marital, organizational, business. It will solve all the problems. And this is how it goes. When you are doing brainstorming, you give a question to yourself or to your mind or to your people. For example, how if I've got a financial pressure and I'm short of, for example, let's say $2,000 for my things to balance. So the question that I will take a paper and I'll ask myself and say, how can I earn an extra $2,000 per month? So that's the question. And when you are brainstorming, you bring all the ideas. We call it divergent thinking. You think widely and wildly. So it's wild thinking. You say, you know what, I can go rob a bank. I can borrow from my friends. I can sell my car. I can work 3 jobs. I can do this. I can go and bet. Then you've got all this. And what we say is that you need to at least give yourself 10 solutions to that one problem. So you need to write 10 solutions. 10 solutions to that one problem. Then now when you have made a list, you then go and change the type of thinking from divergent. You now go into convergent thinking, where you narrow down your options. You then go through the options that you would have listed and say, of these options, what are the most practical? What are the top 5 practical ones? So you then choose number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5. The other 5 you totally discard. Then you look at those 5. You say, of these 5, which one is more practical given my situation, given where I am? And you choose your top 3 and you focus on your top 2. That's how you find solutions. It's called brainstorming. It's a problem-solving technique. It helps you to think. I always tell people in my masterclass that your mind is not you. You are not your mind. But your mind is a tool that was designed by God to help you solve problems for your particular life. So when you give a question to your mind will answer it based on your gifts, your passions, based on your likes, and it will give you a solution that you are able to work out. That's something that you can learn. The other thing that I always say, how to handle pressure, is you must focus on a few instead of focusing on many things. A lot of things right now, people are focusing on so many things, 20 things, 30 things. This is when you're going through change, you must focus on the few. In fact, I would actually urge you to focus on one or two things. And here's the question on what you must focus on. The question is, what one or two things, if I do, will give me the biggest advantage during this change process? If you identify that one thing and focus on that, it will save you a lot of pain. Instead of doing all these little things that are so many, and your mind is scattered. When your mind is scattered, when your effort is scattered, you can never achieve something. So you need to do few things versus many things. Number 6, you must control the controllables and manage those that you cannot control. In this change process, there are things that I cannot control. The rate of increase of COVID, I can't control it. But I can control the controllables. I can wash my hands. I can wear my mask. I can stay at home. In your business, as you go through change, what can you control? What can you regulate in your own power as a being or as a company? So control the controllables and manage those things that you don't control. And I always say that, look, help is available. Help is available. If you feel that the change process is really getting you down, you are not able, you then need psychological help. And that's why we are here. I'm a psychiatrist. That's why psychologists are there. They are there to walk you through this process. It's an emotional process, it's a mental process, and some people definitely will need guidance. I want to talk to a group of special people, especially pastors. This is the time when you need to understand that change has come. And you also need to prepare for that change. How you were doing church, how you were organizing your life. Everybody needs to change. That time has passed. A new season is coming. A new time is coming. And everybody must participate. So you have to look and say, what can I do differently? Things will never be the same again. So why am I doing this? A lot of people are asking me, Doc, why are you doing this? And right now I'm broadcasting this from home. And my wife is the one who is actually the camera lady here. And here's the thing. What we want to do is to help people maintain their mental well-being. We want our patients to maintain their mental well-being. We want families to maintain their mental well-being. We want companies and health personnel to maintain their mental well-being. We want the general public to maintain their mental well-being. And how you maintain your mental well-being is to build what I call mental resilience and knowledge and understanding of a human being's emotional and mental makeup will help you to build that resilience. Because when you understand what is happening to you or to the other, you actually are able to